Hello lovelies, I am the Fragnostic, and a big, honking, brass bastard goose of a welcome to another Retro Rumble. This week on Retro Rumble, we're going to be repeatedly looking back and forth between the screen and our coffees, quizzically, wondering if a family member has perhaps slipped strong hallucinatory drugs into our beverages as some kind of prank or distraction while they wrap your birthday presents. But panic thee not! 'Tis only the undiluted madness of Monster Party for the NES, developed by Human Entertainment, published by Bandai, and released in the June of 1989. Get a load of this lunacy. The star got bigger and bigger. The beauty of the star made his eyes moist, so he didn't notice that the star fell and landed right in front of him. It wasn't a star, but a monster. Mark quickly asked, "Who are you?" "I'm Bert." "What's up?" "I'm looking for help. Evil monsters are out of control in my world. Come and help me. I'm afraid to fight the evil monsters." "Don't worry. With your weapon, you'll be able to destroy them easily." "This isn't a weapon, it's a bat." Batter! Anything is okay. Anyhow, let's go." Bert grabbed Mark's hand and flew away. "What's your name?" "Mark." "Mark, my planet is dangerous. So we must act together." "How?" "Like this." Then they fused together. This is how Mark's adventure began. And just in case you're not already scared out your mind, there's some dead bodies relaxing in their own fucking blood. So, my word, where to even begin with this? Let's start with the bare basics and run screaming through the woods from there, shall we? The nuts and bolts of Monster Party are pretty straightforward. 8 rounds of platforming action, left to right, hunt down the bosses, of which there are usually 3, and once a third goes down, you get the key that lets you exit the stage. Nothing particularly insane going on there. Now you'll either be playing as Mark, the terrified child that was abducted from his own planet by a flying space bastard and forced to battle dark and terrible things, or once you collect enough power-ups, you'll take control of said flying space bastard, Bert. Mark's no slouch with his bat, you see there as we batter the twitching, helpless remains of maybe another of Bert's previous new best friends barring our way. Mark can also dry hump the ground if that's something you want to see, but his big advantage is that he can use his baseball bat to knock projectiles back at his opponents, which, bosses aside, will always give you a one-hit kill rather than having to poke him to death. Sorry, I'm dead. Hardest boss fight. Toughest game, 1989. And this, you won't find this anywhere else in Monster Party. All the other bosses are alive and well and perfectly ready to give you an arse beating, but I am immensely creeped out by the idea that someone or something snuck into that cave and punched that poor tragic-looking bastard to death before leaving forever. And if that didn't unsettle you, the entire landscape here changes into a rolling meadow of melting skulls and leering demonic faces too, so look at the man-faced dogs there. How their wide-eyed, joyous expression never even flinches as you swing wildly at them with a bat. "Please don't pick on me," cries the giant sentient pumpkin before leaping towards you with murder in his heart. Now in the prototype, this was a monkey warrior on horseback from Planet of the Apes. Definitely from Planet of the Apes because it had the half-buried Statue of Liberty in the background as well. Why? What the fuck is happening? What's going on? In time, Crusaders. All in good time. We got a ways to go yet, hobbits. Let me clue you in on playing as Bert first. Now, at first glance, you might wonder why exactly Bert went to the trouble of abducting Mark to help him out in the first place. of them being some sort of hideous intergalactic nonce that gets his jollies from having brutal parasitic space sex with Earth children. He can fly, which means that half the time he can straight up avoid fighting anything by just flapping away 20 feet over the entire level, but on the odd occasion that Bert does actually have to kill anything, he can batter it to death with psychic alien laser beams without having to go anywhere near it. Now bosses are similarly an absolute joke if you got Bert on your side for them. You can just shoot the vast majority of them to death while hovering up where they can't reach you, so why even have Mark? Why subject this poor child to this festival of terror? Well, and this honestly is the only legitimate reason in the entirety of Monster Party that I can think of. There's one boss in stage 5 that you can only beat with Mark. One dude. You need to smack his missiles back in to hurt him, and although Bert does appear to be in possession of 2 fully functioning arms required to swing a bat or similar object capable of knocking thrown objects back in the opposite direction, who can say what happened to him? You know, maybe one of Bert's victims fought back as he attempted to astro-rape him, withering his forelimbs into crippled, impractical Tyrannosaurian twigs. Don't think you're getting out of this madness with a no-hit run, by the way. There is absolutely zero pattern to how most of them chuck shit at you, so if you're forced to take them on as Mark, which you often will be, there's no chance whatsoever that you aren't going to take a few knocks getting past them. I guess if you really wanted to, you could hang around outside and farm the pickups you need to turn into Bert before the bosses. You wanted the absolute slimmest of chances at a no-hit run. Won't escape your notice, I'm sure, that those pickups happen to be drugs. This child is taking honest-to-God drugs in order to transform into a flying laser-vomiting monster. Who knows where we really are? You know, who knows what's really happening here? Was that a real alligator, or your dad that you just shot to death in a pill-crazed rage? What's really going to be in the papers tomorrow? Let's talk about why Monster Party is so utterly fucking bizarre, shall we? There's no one singular reason, it can never be that easy, but we can unearth the beginnings of an explanation from the Japanese prototype. Now, nobody even really knew the prototype existed until the late 2000s, and a physical copy only actually materialized for sale on Yahoo auctions in 2011, going for about $6,000. And the full title on the cartridge was Parody World Monster Party, which does start to unravel an awful lot here. And the Japanese were incredibly fond of their parody games, most famous series of which may well be Parodius, the bastard mad takeoff of the popular horizontal space shooter Gradius franchise. And these types of games appeared across all genres, usually characterized primarily by their stages and enemies being based on elements of popular culture. Alright, here, let's see if you can get this reference. So you're fighting a giant fried prawn with a pair of telepods in the background there, you see? Now, do you remember a movie where something terrible happens to a particular scientist who invents a teleportation machine? Now you gotta fight a giant fried onion ring. A fried... And that's right, you got it now. You're not fighting the fly, you're fighting the fry. Do you see? The fry. I'm pausing for studio laughter and applause, That's the kind of humour you're dealing with in Monster Party. It lurches violently between dad jokes and sexual assault. Holy shit, it's Bill Cosby. Anyway, parody games. Usually straight genre titles built around elements of popular culture, be it movies, music, other games too, but also a healthy mix of native folklore. Now, under those terms, Monster Party is really no different thematically from a lot of the older parody titles, but it was one of the very first to utilise straight up horror imagery and references to do it. The Splatterhouse Wanpaku Graffiti was released in Japan a month after Monster Party was released in the States, and that went in an almost identical direction but with a much lighter humour driving it, as opposed to this game, whose idea of a joke is to have a boss fight where you just literally stand 10 feet away and watch some poor broken creature fucking bleed to death. Now, a lot was changed from this prototype, mainly the enemy roster, which originally depicted the monsters or characters they were borrowing with either greater accuracy or gruesomeness. For example, the very first boss we fought was clearly a takeoff of the man-eating plant Audrey 2 from the Little Shop of Horrors, but the design is much closer in the prototype, which also includes a musical mic and amp setup in case you somehow forgot that iconic duet she shared with Rick Moranis in the movie. Similarly, the Medusa snake we fought first in this stage is actually the legit Medusa in the prototype. And what's interesting about her depiction there is that if you watch the parade of monsters marching past on the original title screen, which is a fair bit gorier and more disturbing all around, you can see an even more harrowing design for her in the parade, blood-soaked and red-eyed with the blue discoloration of a corpse. So what do these changes come down to? No concrete paperwork on the matter, but an educated guess will point you in the direction of equal parts Nintendo of America's censorship policy and movie licensing issues, which seem to be a lot more relaxed in Japan, at least at the time Monster Party was due to be released. Now, Revenge of Shinobi, for example, a real headline title on the Sega Genesis that came out mere months after Monster Party, was released in its initial state with boss fights against Spider-Man, Batman, the Terminator, and Godzilla, as well as more or less straight uplifting Sonny Chiba's mugshot from the TV show Shadow Warriors promotional poster to plaster across the title screen. Now, as soon as it crosses the ocean and hits the United States, in the very same month, that original version is modified to remove Batman and swap his sprite out with a purple devil looking monster instead. But Spider-Man stays through sheer merit of Sega having acquired the character license for Spider-Man vs. the Kingpin, which hadn't actually been released yet. Neither had the Amazing Spider-Man on Game Boy, which, in the face of the amount of actual licensed Spider-Man titles that would appear over the next 5 years, and putting to one side the very early 1982 game on the Atari 2600, makes The Revenge of Shinobi the very first Spider-Man appearance on either a home or handheld video game console. Certainly his very first appearance in any sort of traditional platform or beat-em-up game. And it's as a boss, fighting a ninja with Batman. Or, as far as American audiences could figure it, the fucking devil. What drugs were they on, and what shady military branch developed them? I'm guessing that originally there was meant to be more of a balance between bosses that would be better to fight with Mark and likewise with Bert, because around half of them are like stationary projectile chuckers that Mark would, in theory, be better suited to rebounding to death with the bat, and the other half are enormous hell beasts that bomb rush you with unavoidable stampede charges that Bert could evade through flight. But here's some evil umbrellas. You thought they were bats, but they're umbrellas, and now they're trying to kill you. Doesn't that just spit in the eyes of everything you thought you knew about umbrellas? Can't Monster Party leave any functional aspect of your day-to-day life intact? They've largely left a lot of the folklore bosses and enemies alone here, which, cultural barriers being what they are largely terrifying to an unsuspecting Western audience. Given the disturbing sense of humour that this game displays, however, it's somewhat difficult to ascertain what is a direct reference to mythological Japan's endless libraries of insane demons and ghosts, and what's meant to be a joke. For example, these could be based on Kasa Obaki, a type of yokai that traditionally takes the form of a one-eyed, one-legged umbrella, or they could just be the developers acknowledging a sleeping bat's vague resemblance to an umbrella. It's, you have to catch me first, fucker! You crucifix-firing Jesus spider. Now, the original version of this boss was one of the first solid crumbs of information that the public at large ever had on the Japanese prototype, and really accelerated the hunting down of it, because in the prototype, you're fighting the famous Norris head-on spider legs from John Carpenter's horror classic The Thing. And once again, this had a much more gruesome showing in the parade on the title screen, blood dribbling at its lips and all sorts. And its cross projectiles make a little more sense, at least in some kind of insular manner, as its battle cry in Japanese translates to Transform! Form X! Which, I imagine it's exactly how the thing would announce its imminent final form in some batshit lunatic anime adaptation, just before McCready clutched his flamethrower to his chest while the background pulsed rainbows and turned into a fucking mecha dragon. Form X from the Wandering Planet was also what the movie was called in Japan, so that's what that's about. We're in some kind of Egyptian tomb right here. Doesn't Bert's alien planet resemble Earth to a suspicious degree? With its sewers an exact replication of one of our most definable eras of history, didn't it? Or am I just tinfoil hatting it here? I am, aren't I? I'm pretty sure this is exactly what half the episodes of Ancient Aliens are about. But how did they build the pyramids if not with UFO tractor beams? It's almost as if there's no clear signs of the progression of architectural method and understanding littered throughout the entirety of fucking Egypt. Must be bloody aliens. Look at this guy. Why is he so slow? He's either a ghost or that armor is being operated by somebody far too short to be able to see out of it. This is another quirk at Monster Party that you'll notice far more exhaustively yourself if you play through it. The challenge curve is all over the fucking place. In fact, try not to think of it as a curve so much as a loop that you must navigate with magnetized shoes that occasionally stop working and drop you on your neck. You get a stretch of bosses that are pathetically easy, and then one that will just tear your fucking face off with your own teeth. This cat was a mogwai from the movie Gremlins in the prototype. You can still see, if you look closely at what he's throwing at you. They never bothered to swap the Gremlins sprites out from this fight either. I could stand there and just patiently bat these fuckers back at him, but that takes forever. And like I said, I'm under no pressure from the impossibilities of a no-hit run, so it's just easier to face fuck his whiskers off up close and personal instead. Little sneeze of trivia for you here. Achoo! Oh goddamn, right in your hair, son of a bitch. Well, this is more speculation than trivia, I guess, but the title of the game most likely came from a stop-motion animation classic from the 60s that was very popular at the time but has rapidly faded into obscurity. 1967's Mad Monster Party, which itself was a parody of the horror genre that starred just about every classic Universal Pictures horror staple that they could mold into clay. Boris Karloff on voice acting duty as Baron von Frankenstein, Alan Swift backing him up as, well, everybody else. Literally had like 12 roles in the credits, all brought to life by the very fondly remembered animation genius, Mr. Tadahito Mushinaga. Alright, one more boss for the Egyptian tomb, and one guess as to what it could be. You got it, it said punk rocker, yay! What the fuck? You couldn't have saved the fucking mummy for the pyramid stage? Really? Something's wrong with his picking technique if he's playing that fast and only getting like 2 notes a second coming out. If you're a dense kind of crusader, you might be wondering why I'm skipping a bunch of the doors as I make my way through the stages here. Don't worry, dense crusader. We don't discriminate against your mental disabilities here. We saved the best spot of all for you. Right up in the vanguard. In front of the more valuable, less special soldiers. Don't look so afraid and vaguely hungry, jowly simpleton. Because you're dense, because of your density, you'll be able to absorb far more punishment, dude. You have no idea what I'm saying, do you? You think physics are a type of goat-riding shrub leprechaun? Here, just have this sandwich. Stop staring at it. The reason I am skipping many a door is because I don't go anywhere, except to an empty room, which, unsurprisingly, have absolutely no use whatsoever unless you're near a decent farming spot and want to respawn some enemies for life drops or burnt drugs. Welcome to the Dark World Lake. Largely pleasant and untroubling level before the next stage, the Haunted Mansion, latches onto your colon with its teeth like a panicked ferret. Watch my dance. Let's do that. Let's watch it together. The clock's running down the entire time here, by the way. If you came in here as Bert, you sure as fuck aren't leaving as him. There, see? Fucking hell. At least the warning siren's bleeping in time to the music, I guess. At least it's not irrhythmically irritating. Ah, you had to go and fuck it up, didn't you, Bert? Nearly there. Bravo! Standing ovation. Snow Patrol music package over your teary faces, accepting plaudits from Simon Cowell and the gang. You're going through it the next round at the judge's house. You're gonna dance for the fucking queen. Your first single's done shit numbers. Off to Butlins and the county pantomime with you. This is the son of a bitch I was telling you about at the beginning. The one that you can only kill with Mark. At least, I'm pretty certain you can only kill him with Mark, because it's next to fucking impossible to get as far as Bert after you've wasted all your beast mode drugs monging out in a cave watching corpses dance for you. Another bit of prototype mischief here. The original form of that boss makes it a fair bit clearer on what it's supposed to be. I mean, I guess it does if you watch obscure Japanese monster movies from the 60s. If not, you're still going to be marooned on What the Fuck Island, but it's actually Damajin, a giant shogun statue that occasionally comes to life and steps on local crime bosses. The movies are marginally better than I'm making them sound. Can't comment on the TV series as it's still somewhere on the tapestry of infinity that is my to-watch list, but one of Damajin's little showpieces was that his stone face changed to a rather sour expression whenever he got the arseache. There's 3 movies. They are essentially the exact same plot recycled. Some peasants get roughed up by a feudal warlord and go begging or praying to Damajin to come to life and squash their tormentors. The evildoers laugh and point at the wretched provincials brown nosing their pet rock. And then, just as you're about to nod off, Damajin wakes up in the last quarter of an hour, and the fight generally goes exactly as you'd expect if you armed a few dozen criminals with swords and made them fight a mountain. I don't know, they're the kind of movies where if you've seen the trailer, you've really seen the best cut of the film, you know? Mark's had a costume change, like, it's gone Charlie Brown on us. Careful you don't go full Charlie Brown shorts there, son. We're in the haunted mansion. Oh, it's spooky. Don't let the fat-ass ghost genes get you. Look, they have to make the chairs extra big in here to hold the sheer volume of arse packed into those pants. What is this game's obsession with disembodied legs? Keep expecting to stumble upon a broom cupboard with about 100 screaming torsos jammed into it. Here's a completely non-infuriating game of guess which camouflaged head you have to club the shit out of. Especially when they're all bunched up together like that. You have to squint to see what the fuck's happening. Ends up like one of those goddamn magic eye pictures from the 90s. I can see a dolphin! Only the one boss in this round who, pretty much characterizes the entire theme that runs it. Guess the right door. Go ahead, it's easy. There's only 54 of the fucking things spread over 21 possible rooms. It's not like the house is raining lethal ectoplasmic fireballs down on you, ambushing you with colossal dining chairs half a nanosecond out the fucking door or anything. Christ alive, what a nightmare. And just to wind you up even more, you gotta guess 2 different routes. One to the boss and one to the exit door. There are a fair number of these multiple choice labyrinths around back in the NES days. Nasty habit picked up from those tough as freeze-packed Minotaur Balls PC adventure games. And you're about to see another of those bad habits in a very short while. Anybody want to guess what they're calling this round? Anyone? If you guessed Gaping Leviathan Anus, then you're not even close, and I suggest you take some time away from whatever godless pornography you're defiling your hippocampus with. Fucking ghost. Oh, there's a spot of luck. Right before the boss as well. God, that transformation animation gets longer every time, doesn't it? Guess what Royce does? He rolls! You get it? Rolls Royce. Jesus Christ. He doesn't say that in the Japanese text though. I think he's meant to be a loose take on Hideshi Hino's Bug Boy, one of the vast number of horrifying mangas that Mr. Hino has been unleashing on the world since the 60s. He actually directed a couple of the infamous Guinea Pig movies as well, including the one that sent Charlie Sheen running to the FBI thinking it was a snuff film. Of course, back in those days, Charlie was on so much crack that a toothpaste commercial would have looked like footage of a manticore teabagging his mother. Here's death. By death. Maybe the coolest of the prototype bosses twatted south by the licensing ban hammer there, as Death was originally none other than the Queen fucking Alien. That's actually the second Alien reference from the prototype, as back in the sewers on round 2, the eggs you encounter originally spat facehuggers at you, rather than bubbles. Alright, now you see we got the key after fighting 2 bosses here. We did that on round 5 too, and of course, last stage we only fought 1, but there is another boss fight you can find here in the tower. It's literally just a repeat of that greedy bastard spider that wanted to suck all your blood every time. Not even leave you with a bit to crawl to the hospital with. He wants the fucking lot. But if you do accidentally stumble into that boss fight, which naturally you have no way out of, the key gets taken away from you and you can't get it back unless you reset the whole game. You dare go exploring once you've got the key. You fucking dare. Oh, straight out the gate, here's another filthy trick. Remember all those times you had to go left in Monster Party? No? Must just be this one time to find this one fucking boss then. Look at him, for Christ's sake. Get off me, cockbasket. Good lord. They really started to run out of ideas for bosses here, let me tell you. 4th to last fight in the game, what we saying? How about the dragon from Ghosts and Goblins? Yeah, fuck it, go on then. What's his attack? How about he just lies on top of you and fucks you to death? Yeah, I like it, classic, best boss. Speaking of which, spare a thought for this poor bastard. Looks like somebody casseroled Ganesh. About as tough a fight as an actual casserole too. This is really about the point that the semi-clever horror references stop and whatever psychotropic drugs the developers were on start them on the old downward spiral, you know. They're tired and sweaty and sad, they just want to eat 5 packs of Smarties and go to bed for 3 days. Like, ooh, what haven't we used yet? Witches? Dynamite in a dress? Let's just watch the rest of this Roadrunner cartoon and make the enemies the first Wile E. Coyote assassination attempts we see now. Look, 2 ancient Egyptian themed bosses, and both of them got left out the pyramid stage in favour of the punk rocker. How drunk were they? Love the way he goes skidding around a place, almost propelled by the force of the blood spurting from his severed neck. Should have been a fucking unlockable car in Ridge Racer. I could be doing a slightly better job of trying to dodge all this crap, I know, but what's the goddamn point? Most of the time the flying dynamite comes tearing on screen faster than you can evade it anyway. Got witches on broomsticks shitting glitter all over me. I'm just gonna sit back and reap the rewards that my largely skillful performance has afforded me via the life bar here, I think. We're right at the gates of the final showdown now anyway. Look, see that? I was blasting her from the second she got on screen. What's the fucking point? Alright, only the Dark World Master to put in his place now. An utterly pathetic excuse for a boss who is in no way worth loading another stage up for. Come and die. Get him in the nose, lovelies. He's half rotted from all the Dark World coke he's been doing. Look at his eyes. Son of a bitch can't even blink anymore. He sold his eyelids for cheetah candy. Thank Christ that's over. Mark destroyed the monsters. Bert gave him a gift. And Mark went home. He excitedly opened the box. A beautiful princess came out. But suddenly, the princess became a monster, and more monsters followed her. Fuck me dead, that's dark, isn't it? Mark was scared and screamed. Mark was awakened by his mom. You'll be late! It was a dream. I'm leaving. Mark opened the door. Bert was there. He whispered to Mark, "Let's go again." And that's, let me tell you, that's lost nothing to translation, that ending. It's just as fucking insane in Japanese. Look at Bert, goddammit, look at his eyes! Look at the way he's gripping the bat. Is he here to take Mark on an adventure or collect a fucking loan payment? Mercy of heaven. But there you are, Crusaders. Monster Party. A competent, if somewhat mechanically lazy, and occasionally downright irritating title that is worthy of its cult status as one strange fucking uncle. See you next time.